Well, the TCAP is the tie that binds students across Shelby County to their peers across the state of Tennessee. Right now, 3rd and 4th grade students arguably have the most at stake here. By state law, their results from the reading portion of the test will determine if they repeat a year. And that's caused lots of anxiety for parents and kids in the district and across the state. Our Jay Shakur spoke with one family taking this very seriously. And Jay, testing starts Monday, but how did 3rd and 4th grade students do last year? And who's using an outside program? This family that we understand is using an outside program to help their child succeed on this test, right?
Definitely, Rudy. Last year, according to the Tennessee Department of Education, 60% of 3rd graders across the state fell short on TCAP. For Memphis Shelby County schools, 23% of students scored proficient, while 42% scored below proficiency, and about 34% were approaching. Across the state, 12,000 students who weren't proficient were allowed to move on to the 4th grade despite their scores. TCAP testing is just days away now, and the Goodwin family tells me, though nothing is guaranteed, they're confident in their work in and outside of the classroom. For Julius Goodwin and his family, Memphis Shelby County schools can only do so much.
We're helping them at home as much as we can, and we're leaning on the educational system to do the things that they're doing. But we have to do the work, as well as work with the school system to do their work.
Goodwin has both a 3rd and 4th grader in the district. He says the task of preparing for TCAP is a partnership between parent and teacher.
I'm not excited about it because I don't know if I'm going to pass or not.
Built on communication with his children's school, White Station Elementary.
When she wasn't up to that standard, they let us know. When she got up to the standard, they felt like that she'll do good. They let us know that as well. We're also with a contingency plan in place on how to get her there.
Having additional help that includes practice tests and, for this father, balancing the busyness of extracurricular activities like tennis and tutoring.
An emergency meeting of the Babysitters Club. I would say I'm ready for TCAP because I went to tutoring and they told me how I had to go back to the test.
Goodwin using Tennis Memphis, providing space to not only serve a ball, but an education. The nonprofit providing a space for year-round junior development, helping improve these students' reading skills.
Sometimes there's some fun things that your kids can do that they can also get tutoring in to help them with their points that they're not as strong in. The role that it plays in their life, I feel, is that it kind of gives them that mental fortitude. You know, when things get hard, when you are faced with challenges such as, oh, I may be held back if I don't pass this test.
Leaving nothing on the court.
If I pass, what I'm going to do, try to study again just in case if I go to summer school. I will probably be inside like a B or A.
And though there are doubts about Tennessee's testing standards,
as a parent, I don't think that that law is a good law.
There's no doubt in the test takers.
The biggest thing is that when she goes in to take that test, we want her to be relaxed. Sometimes kids may not test well as others, but either way, I'm confident. I'm confident in the work that we've put in at home.
Now, if 4th graders that were allowed to move on from 3rd grade last year don't show improvement this time, they could repeat 4th grade. Rudy?
Well, Jay, we certainly wish the best for all of our students that are preparing to take the TCAP test, but districts would have to prepare for larger class sizes should students fail. How are they prepared for this, and how many students are they expecting to not do too well on this test?
Definitely, Rudy. Of course, we want all students to do well on the TCAP and build those lifelong reading skills, but according to the Department of Education, the Tennessee Department of Education estimates at least 5,000 4th graders could be held back under the state's reading law as it stands now. There are a few amendments making their way through the legislature, but so far they haven't made any real progress.
All right, Jay, thanks a lot. A lot at stake coming up on this Monday.
Definitely.
Well, with the pressure on 3rd and 4th grade students to perform well on this year's TCAP, the state developed its own formula to measure student growth. Let's break all that down for you right now. First, the state will predict the students' chances of passing the 4th grade test based on how they did on the 3rd grade test. Next, a growth formula is used that subtracts 50% of the proficiency rate from what's called the student's ELA profitability, then divides that number by the student's years left in school. That number is added to the student's chances of passing, determining how much their score must improve in order to pass. Now, standardized testing isn't easy for all students, as we know, so here are some strategies to help conquer test anxiety. It's a good idea to develop good study habits, like where and how long you study a day. Next, create a consistent pre-test routine so you feel your best going into the test. Also helpful, learning relaxation techniques like breathing exercises. And as always, don't forget to eat healthy, drink water, and get plenty of sleep ahead of the test.